Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Film Frauds. We're myself, Matt, and my two co-hosts, Marcus Aurelius. Say hi, Marcus Aurelius. And Tyler.
Hi.
And Mark.
Oh, hello.
Provide completely unprofessional, 100% biased opinions on the movies of today, tomorrow, and yesteryear. But today, we are all together as friends. We've crossed the fourth dimension into the same realm.
This is the first time we've ever met each other.
Yes, we've never known each other
Yeah.
until this very day. But today we're talking about a very special movie that Mark recommended.
Yes.
What movie is that?
We watched Akira Kurosawa's film High and Low, which I totally forget what year it came out.
1963.
1963, yes.
Or two.
Yes, I recommended it. These two chumps haven't seen it before, and we just watched it together. It was my second watch, and I certainly like the film, and I'm interested to see what my co-hosts believe, especially you, Marcus. That was a dumb joke. That was a bad joke.
I can't wait
Let's drop the whole Marcus Aurelius.
I can't wait for the audio when
Yeah.
Matt didn't pick up the thing and said scraped it along with the mic.
He's practicing his the stoicism thing.
I don't edit these podcasts, but if you can cut back when Matt scrapes it across, I kind of like, fuck.
You're editing this podcast.
Yeah, but I don't edit like the individual stuff. I just kind of like...
What individual stuff are you talking
Yeah,
about?
we're
like
just
little
the
moments
poster
like
children.
this. Yeah, you're just
Where we
like...
have one mic and one camera. What is it?
I was going to add a little joke. You know, screw it. Okay, Mark, tell us about High and Low. What's the movie about? And then we'll go down the line.
It's about a businessman who is about to close on a really big deal, and he's put his money on everything for this one deal. And during this night where the deal is supposed to happen, his son is playing with his driver's son.
Yeah.
Two boys are playing together, and the driver's son gets kidnapped because that driver's son is mistaken as the son of the businessman.
You're going to say mistooken?
Mistaken.
Mistaken, yes.
I can't speak English. So
Despite all the books.
yeah, despite all the books, those are all fake. Those are all like empty cardboard. So yes, the businessman is faced with the dilemma of, do I save this child who is mistaken as my own child, or do I close this business deal and become the Lord Emperor of this big company?
And shenanigans ensues.
And then shenanigans ensue.
Matt,
So, Tyler...
let's go down the line.
Okay, what do I think of
Yeah.
this?
What do you think of it?
I liked it.
Wow.
Yeah.
We're really hitting the hard, doing the hard criticism today.
I'm just trying to give some people the debate so they can stay along for a little bit longer.
Okay.
Yes. So I just from background, I've seen 5 Akira Kurosawa films. This being the 5th one.
You're a big deal.
Yeah, I've seen the most Akira Kurosawa of any of us here. Just throwing that out there.
Just barely.
So my opinions are the facts here.
Just barely.
Well,
do you want to go over through your history of Akira Kurosawa?
Yeah,
so
sure.
All right, go.
I've seen Rashomon. Well, I was in the room when Rashomon was playing. I don't know if I actually saw it or not.
Same. I feel the same way.
Rashomon, I was definitely looking at it.
Yeah.
But saying that I watched it is, might be hyperbolic.
Yes.
Because it was something else.
Agreed.
Yes, I've seen Ron, which is my favorite of the Kurosawa movies. I've seen
Spoiler. You just spoiled your review.
Yeah, you spoiled you.
Oh,
they were in suspense. They wanted to know if this was the best one.
Oh, I don't know if it was the second best. I don't know if it was
Don't
second
bang
best
on the
yet.
desk. There's the microphone.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mike.
I watched Hidden Fortress yesterday, and then I saw High and Low today. And my general criticism with the Akira Kurosawa movies is that his movies are sometimes 10 minutes-ish too long. And I would maybe say that counts for this movie, too. It is 2 hours and 20 minutes long. And there was definitely a time in the middle between 2 big plot points where I was a little bored.
A little bored is you bothering me.
Sacrilegious.
Yeah, well, we'll go into what Tyler was doing throughout the movie.
Everybody on the Criterion subreddit just fainted because you said that.
I'm not gonna get into I'm gonna get positives now. I think that
Okay.
I think that the story is really great, and I do like movies that have that sort of where it's just like problem solving, or just like it's like people in a room trying to figure out something, kind of like 12 Angry Men and some other movies. But there were times where I just didn't know, especially with the detectives and the police, where there were characters who I didn't know, because some of them were introduced more towards the second half of the movie, and there was definitely some detachment there from me. Whereas I really cared about the main businessman played by that actor who's in, what's his name?
Toshiro.
Yeah,
Toshiro, who's in a lot of Akira Kurosawa's movies, and I thought his character was great. But there was definitely a part where they went more into the detective element, where I was kind of getting detached from what was going on, because I was struggling to trying to identify with the characters that were in it.
Would that have to do with the fact that Tyler was talking during the film?
God, I wasn't talking the entire time.
This was Tyler during the movie. Oh, what is this book? How many pages does it have?
We watched it in this room.
Yeah, we all watched it. We just finished watching. He's like,
Yeah. Yeah, so
I was not
the
doing
ransom was 30 million yen, and then he, in the middle of the film, he was like, I wonder
Yeah.
how much 30 million yen was
Yeah.
in US dollars and inflation rate.
Yeah, I was very curious, and
Yeah.
it turns out it's about $273,000.
And it really elevated the movie.
$2.5 million today. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, and it really elevated the movie.
It did. And like, it added context.
And
to it.
he went, Mark, is this whole movie going to be in the same room?
I asked if it was a bottle movie.
And I was like,
It's
isn't that the point of the movie is to figure out while you're watching it?
Yeah.
I was just curious, Dial M for Murder, Hitchcock's movies, a bottle episode movie. I was just curious about it, just tiny bit curious.
Yeah, but
we get to see
your curiosity could have been satisfied by just sitting there and just understanding.
If you're
what
ever wondering
watching.
about the dynamics of our friendship, just look at anytime I talk. Look at Matt's facial expressions. If he looks like he wants to kill himself, that's probably gives you a little.
Let us know if Tyler has it coming in the comments below.
Okay.
Yeah. Wait. I think I should say my history is with Akira Kurosawa.
Yeah.
The first one I watched was The Seventh Samurai, which is what you should do. Looking at you two. I've seen Seven Samurai. I've seen Ikiru, but I've seen people pronounce it Ikaru. But you have done that. That's like you don't even watch it.
I've been watching. Am I pronouncing
Anyways,
it wrong?
Ikiru, which that's how I pronounce it.
I pronounce it because that's what you said.
No, I said Ikiru.
I said Ikaru. Whatever. This is stupid.
You're inflecting the wrong whatever. Which is one of my favorite movies ever, and I've seen High and Low, and then I saw Rashomon, which I completely agree with Matt. I don't even know if I actually watched it, and then I saw High and Low again. So I've sat down to watch a Kurosawa film 5 times.
We haven't seen 5 films.
But I've seen 4 films.
Yeah. Just to clarify.
I've seen
5
Throne of
films.
Blood.
Tyler.
Oh wait, I've seen Throne of Blood as well. I didn't mention that.
No, you've seen Throne of Blood.
And Tyler's seen Avengers Endgame.
I've seen Avengers Endgame.
Yes.
Yeah. Clearly, I've seen Throne of Blood and now this. So
And no, he saw the Man with No Name trilogy. So same thing.
Yeah, basically the same thing.
And he watched the Taken movies as well.
I did watch the Taken movies, which are also the same thing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. This is very chaotic. So Matt, we kind of skirted around this.
Wait, what? No, give me. I give my thoughts. What are your thoughts?
I'm higher than you.
Well,
on
let
this
me hear
one.
your thoughts then.
Well, I'm definitely higher than you. I mean, this.
How do you know you're higher than me?
Oh my god.
What parts of the movie did you actually see?
Are you higher or lower than him?
Yeah.
Get it? Somebody clap,
He was pretty high on his phone during the
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe high and low was the. Never mind.
Okay.
I couldn't think of an end for that joke.
You good?
Yeah.
Okay. So.
High concept, low interest.
This is great.
Go
We
home.
just synced the audio a second time.
Yes, you're welcome.
I'm definitely. I think based on your attitude towards this, I think I'm a little bit higher than you and a little bit lower than you, Mark. I mean, there's like. Oh my God. Anything I say, I'm getting ready to be made fun of. I'm just getting.
Well, I mean, you were alerting.
All right, well, say what you thought.
Yeah.
Say what you
Okay.
thought.
Well, it's 2 movies. I mean, it's like this like kind of personal like family drama. Like it's like it's the impact of this kidnapping on a family, and then the second one it's like a police movie where you're following the police as they figure out a crime. And the second half of the movie, the police movie, definitely feels like it's someone who, if you like old Japanese like TV and movies back in the 50s, I feel like you'd probably really love this. Be right up your alley. And for someone though who doesn't have much of a history with the influence of like procedural cop dramas and like Japanese cinema, the second half of the movie I think is just like inherently interesting based on my like lack of knowledge with the subject.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make it any less like influential in terms of like its impact with Kurosawa and cinema. I mean, this is regarded as one of his best movies, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's clearly
Well, actually, I don't know, but I know a lot of people like love this film.
there's clearly something there, and I think my viewing of it was just limited from my lack of experience with Kurosawa, or just the lack of experience with like 50s and 60s Japanese cinema. There's something there clearly in the first half. I mean, the first half has like genuine moments of like excellent, like with Toshiro Mifune just acting his chops off, and like this like bottle episode.
He acted his chops off.
Yeah.
He had chops.
Is he still alive?
Oh my God.
Was he wearing chops?
Is this? Do you get enjoyment out of this? Like, do you enjoy this?
There were several times I gotta cut you off.
So
Yeah, I
to
know.
the audience, sometimes you can see in Matt's face when a joke is marinating.
gears.
You can see it. He goes.
They're getting good at calling me out on it too now. They know when I'm thinking of something.
I can see it. You can predict it. You can predict it. You can see it right in his face. Anyway, continue.
I'm too scared to. I mean, there's a middle sequence. I mean, this is spoilers. Are we spoiling the movie?
Well, I think it's been pretty incoherent so far in the
Yeah.
review, and so if anybody made it this far, they've probably seen it.
They've probably
Yeah.
seen it. There's like the best part of the movie is like the train sequence in the middle to me. When
Yeah.
they go to
Yeah.
when they basically are given instructions by the kidnapper to go on a train, and they'll kind of like deal with the kid on the train or whatever. They'll do the handoff and stuff like that. And then you find out, oh, it's actually outside. There's a call on the train, and then you slip the briefcase at the window, and then you see like two people, one with the kid and one like collecting the money as it goes through. And it's just like very impressive filmmaking. The way like tension slowly builds and the revelation of like past kind of drama built is all kind of like coincides right there, and that is also the turning point in the climax of the first story and the beginning of the second story. And I think I found that sequence to be the most engaging. And then when you have that moment down and the ramping up of the police drama when you're kind of in the office and they're just going through like, okay, what about like enemies? What about this? What about that? What about this? What about that? It's interesting, but also significantly less interesting than what we just witnessed, in my opinion.
I think there's a certain Shakespearean aspect to it, just the way the story is told, just the dilemma that what's his name? Gundo? I can remember the main character's name.
That's probably not a good thing. My phone's over there. I can't look it up.
Oh man, we're bad movie
I'll look it up.
watchers.
Thank you.
It begins with a G. I'll say Mr. G.
Mr. G.
Mr. G's dilemma of saving his driver's son or having his shoe empire.
Yeah.
And I think I can see the Shakespeare in it because it's sort of like that. It's just like that sort of very dramatic plot.
It's like big like patriarch dealing with
And it's also we also know that Kurosawa was already a massive Shakespeare fan.
Yeah.
So I found that aspect to be
his name is
interesting.
Kingo Gondo.
Gondo.
Mr. Gondo. Okay.
Mr. Gondo. I don't know. I think well, one thing we were sort of goofing off a bit during the film, so I didn't get to really soak it in as I did the first time.
God.
So
Wasn't that
We might-
Tyler looked at the Criterion disc set like 4 different times.
I was just looking at what year it was, honestly. Like I was like, okay. No, I mean like.
let's make this video about Tyler's movie watching habits.
Yeah,
I'm curious.
He was confused as to why we
just
had.
look at it. Just look at his eyes.
He was confused as to why we had the lights off during the film because he likes watching movies with the lights on.
Get the same amount out of it.
Yeah.
If you're a good movie watcher, you can watch in any circumstance and get anything out of it.
So what'd you get at high and low?
What do you think? Wait,
So
what?
what'd you get at high and low?
Well, I mean, it's.
Were you high or were you low?
I was.
I wanna make
kinda-
that joke
between.
several times.
You're gonna make that joke several times until people click off.
This feels like an uncut gem scene.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're all just talking over each other.
And all of its
Where's the
insults-
diamond?
All of its insults at me.
Yeah.
What was the question directed towards me?
What did you get
I
at high
forget.
and low?
What I get at high and low? Again,
Did
it's.
you get high?
Do you want to leave?
I'll stop.
This is
on-
Mark's house. Well, we can leave.
Yes. Mark cannot leave. We can leave.
We can leave.
Yeah.
Matt, you were the lowest on it seems, or at least
Why do you determine I'm the lowest?
because
on it?
you what?
you just quit. You're making completely.
We're gonna interrogate you now.
Yeah. All right.
But give us your thoughts about it. I've kind of gone into some detail already.
Yeah. Well, I've already given my general.
Oh my
thoughts
god,
on
this
it.
is a review. People are gonna click off. Go.
You're putting me on the spot. Let's start
We
from the beginning of the
we
movie.
really are film frauds. You know?
Yeah, we're absolute front.
I gave my
Okay,
general thoughts, and let's start at the beginning of the movie. Like a
We
normal...
are illuminating nothing on this film.
The movie begins
Did we
introducing.
even see it?
What?
I don't even know if they believe us.
No.
We probably read the Wikipedia summary.
Yeah, we're doing, honestly at this point. The movie opens with Toshiro Mifune. He works for National Shoes. He is not the. He's one of like the main kind of like directors of it, and he's kind of like angling for power.
He's a factory manager.
He's a
and
fact-
he has 13%.
He's 13%, and the
Allegedly.
company wants to move away from producing quality over and instead
over
focusing
mass
on,
products.
instead of quantity. And he's like, no, I want to make like high quality shoes. That's what people like. That's what people want. And he's like, they're like, it's cutting into our profits. And he's like, well, there's a lot of like class conscious kind of like commentary on this. I mean, it's basically it's gonna sound so like film broy and douchey, but it's kind of like taking a lot of like there's clear like Parasite was very clearly like inspired by this in some capacity. But I mean, it has class conscious kind of commentary. I mean, the ending sequence we'll get to is basically that. Like, oh, why'd you hate me? Like, what is this? And he's like, I just was like envious of your house. I'm the higher up. We're jumping ahead. But ultimately, Mr. Gondo
Yeah.
starts consolidating power behind the scenes to control the company to produce the high quality shoes that he wants. His son gets kidnapped, and then he can no longer kind of do that, and then eventually gets taken out of business because of that.
Well, his son didn't get kidnapped.
Oh, sorry, his son was
Yeah.
presumably going to be kidnapped.
Yeah.
Did he watch it?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think
You just gave a grin while he was talking. Do you have a joke? I'm curious.
no.
You-
Okay. He went like this. He went.
So he has
I'm
an
just
insult.
suppressing it.
So we kind of, and that's where we kind of lead off. Is it's the story of getting the chauffeur's son back, and that ties into finding them the kidnapper.
Yeah.
And then that finding the kidnapper it's actually the majority of the movie. I think
It's like barely the majority.
Yeah,
it's like 55%, I would say.
yeah, it's like 75 minutes to like 65 minutes.
Yeah.
And Kurosawa reveals the what's the kidnapper to us before anybody figures out who they are.
So it's kind of this. I mean, that's why I think it's like it feels like a procedural, like a police procedural, like modern day kind of like CSI.
Yeah.
Like the bad guy of the week, like they committed a crime, we have to find him, and it feels like a modern day CSI episode, but with extensive history given to the family right before the moment of the crime.
Yeah.
And then how the family deals with that after. And I have to respect the movie for that, because I'm not familiar with this kind of stuff, but that seems kind of like audacious at the time to essentially remove one of the most popular actors in. I mean, this is Toshiro Mifune in the '60s. At that point, he was a mega star, right? You guys are more familiar.
He was in Seven Samurai. He was in Yojimbo and Sanjuro.
He's the Hidden Fortress.
Rashomon.
He's a massive, massive star, and he's essentially out after half of this movie. He comes back in sporadically.
To mow the lawn when there's no grass.
To mow the lawn and to kind of act as some sort of conclusion, but he basically, Akira Kurosawa makes the decision to remove the star of the movie in favor of the actual kind of like driving narrative. And it's a movie of like larger systems, really. It's a movie of like how police solve crimes, or it's a movie of how the lower class resents the upper class.
Well, there's also that moral grayness where the police force decides, we should go for capital punishment.
Yeah.
And because of that, a woman dies.
Yeah, they decide, and then they stop him from killing himself just so they can give him,
to kill himself anyway. To give him the punishment. To be
yes, that's interesting. It's like 15 years is not enough. They wait, and then because of that, someone else dies because of it. And there's like a lot of weird like police morality in it, and a lot of it comes to like, I feel like the most interesting part for me was the conflict that the main businessman has, Gondo. With, and it's like and you have to think of like the reason why the detectives are so on his side is because he's like this businessman.
Yeah.
So you have to wonder if this is happening to a poorer family, would they be so dedicated to helping him with this specific kid who's not even his kid?
And there's also the stuff in the movie where they're like, we have to get his money back.
Yeah.
Like that's a driving focus of finding the guy is like, we have to find out what he did with the money, because he's a rich businessman, and he's right now at that point in the movie, he's like won the public favor.
And then isn't there a scene? Is it a cop later who's walking through that alley with like all like the poor people, and he's like shooing them away? Was that a cop too? Yeah.
Yeah, he's like get away, like they're basically pushing away like these drug-addled and like heroin addicted people.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of like, again, it feels like a movie of like systems rather than actual people, despite the fact that half the movie is focused on the people. And that's where I start to kind of like
systems are the people.
System are the people. Look at you go. That's where my interest in it start to dwindle a little bit, and that might just be personal preference. That might just be the approach of it. But I really can't like downplay the influence that the movie's probably had, or the fact that there's like this wonderful shot of like color all of a sudden like right in between of
the pink smoke.
The pink smoke, yeah.
When did the first film in the Man with No Name trilogy come out? Do you know what year?
50s maybe. I'm not sure.
Okay. Do you think there's any?
I think 6.
Is there any anything deeper in the meaning to the kids playing with the cowboy?
I mean, Matt, you brought up something about.
Oh, I was just saying like Western influence invading.
Yeah.
Japan.
The cowboy shoots him.
Yeah. And then you see
pretty dramatic shot in the beginning.
And then there's a later like when they're in the club and it's playing like jazz music, which isn't like specifically American, but a lot of it comes from there.
Yeah.
And then but there's a lot of like black and white people there as well. So it's like a very mixed group of people in the club.
Yeah.
So there's like a lot of that in there as well. I don't think it's like a huge component to the movie, but I think I think it's Kurosawa showing that Japan is becoming less like centralized or more culturally diverse in that sense.
There is a lot of just going on in this, and I think it's definitely something like you've seen it now twice.
Yeah,
you probably have a better sense of it than we do, who sat here. This is a little behind the scenes. We literally just like finished watching it like 40 minutes ago, which is we used to crap on Mark for doing that, and now here we are.
Yeah.
Having
and he was late today.
I was a few minutes
just like me.
today.
I'm very late.
Yeah, oh my god, I'm becoming you.
When did I watch this last? I have it written down somewhere.
But ultimately,
keep talking.
Thanks, Mark. But ultimately, it's one of those movies that I feel like is only going to be like improved the more research and like historical context I look at. It also just continue to kind of dive into Kurosawa. I think I come back to this going, man, this is really great. Like I really like this.
There's also going to the more like it's like separating from the police side to the business side.
Yeah.
There's also this weird note that Gondo is kind of like the exception of businessmen who actually cares about people other than himself. Like he when he just make his big deal. Oh, what?
I saw High and Low on January 18th.
What year? Oh,
That was very loud.
of 2021.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yes, but like when he's trying to do this deal, when he's trying to help this guy out get his son back, like a lot of his, I don't know what they are, like supporters or clients, like are leaving him.
No, that's other directors.
Other directors,
Yeah,
yeah,
other
I don't know.
directors who
That's
also
correct.
hold power in the company.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a sense of like, I mean, going back on that, I mean, he's like the one last like, presumably like one of the one last like good businessmen, and he's constantly outnumbered in the movie.
Yeah.
He's outnumbered by the number of like detectives around him, or outnumbered by the people who are trying to get him out of power, or just outnumbered in general. And there's this definite sense of like he's unable, like not an agent of change. He's just at whim, at the mercy of like the systems.
Yeah.
Like, and he's also like there's even a line in the movie where it's like you have to give up your money. You can't be the guy, like, even if you save your business, the business will never survive because you'll be the guy who sacrificed a child.
yeah,
Yeah.
And it's like this, like, what, it's like everyone is at the whim of something. Even, like, a big detriment to me was a lot of, like, the police characters don't have characters.
And there were I feel like the movie could have been better if they just had like a couple of detectives.
Yeah. But that's not the type of movie, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And that's where something like, it is just personal taste, where the police detectives are agents of the system rather than individuals themselves. I mean, you often see their lines being like, everyone's sleeping in the station tonight.
Yeah.
Like, and you're like, okay, that's interesting, and it just kind of keeps going and going and going until the end, where you're faced with the elite, Toshiro Mifune, like wealthy class, like facing off, but or like talking to the poor criminal guy who kidnapped it, and it's just like this thing where he's just like trapped behind bars. He's restrained, and he ends the movie like the movie ends with him being taken away.
Yeah.
And I just think there's a lot here, and I'm that's why I'm like really curious to rewatch it. And I'm curious to see what you, Mr. Mark, who looks like you're thinking about reading a book, what you thought about it.
Just on the whole?
Just on a whole, like you watched it the first time. What was your like on the first time, the second time? What'd you think?
Yeah, the structure of the film is quite interesting. I was more invested in the first half. I was very Mr. Gondo, very interested in his character, but plus because I love Toshiro. You say Mifune?
Mifune.
That's not pronounced?
I don't know.
Mifune. I'm just gonna say Toshiro because that's I know. I think
yeah,
I got that
Toshiro
down.
M. How about that?
Toshiro M. Yeah, very interested in his story. And then when you start following the detectives, it's still quite interesting. But I was sort of invested in that like bottle sort of film that you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't think I can't think of anything I'd like want to change about this film because who am I to say?
Yeah.
But I wonder how this film would be if it was like an hour and a half or like an hour and 45 minutes. Like,
or like
what things could be cut?
I think
not that it needs to. I'm just curious to see.
I wonder if
it could be tighter.
It feels like an antithesis to like a Hollywood movie at a certain point because there is like you would think of like a movie made like this today that was 2 hours and 20 minutes. An hour and 20 minutes of it is like a standard like police procedural where there is like moral gray areas thrown into question. I feel like an executive would look at that and go, cut 35 minutes off of this. Like, what are you doing? You have to add some more stuff to it. And I think Kurosawa plays like a very interesting role here where he like just shows a police drama like it is. Like it's like we have to tackle each individual area. We have to approach it from each different angle, and then you start to get into that more cinematic moral gray area where it's like we got to get this guy, we got to kill him, we got to get him, we got to get their money back, and then someone dies and you're like, okay, there's that gray area. I have no like an hour and 40-minute movie of this is probably worse, I would say.
Yeah.
I would think a lot of its ideas and messages are lessened in impact.
Yeah. I think especially when they're like hunting for the kidnapper, you get a lot of scenes that I don't say like they drag on, but they're like longer than normal in a standard film, I guess you could say. That's not to say it's bad, but you follow the detectives for a while and you see their faces, the backs of their head, the scenery. You like follow them through a crowd. Yeah. So you you really soak up the atmosphere in this film, and you sort of has like this like world inside of this movie, which is interesting. And I think, I mean, there are a lot of scenes in the low part of the area. There's the high and the low.
Yeah.
The high. We start at the high and we go to the low.
Yeah.
How does that work? Matt?
To get it.
So you get to see both worlds, and I guess that was a point.
Yeah, I think that's a definite.
There's definitely like there's a shot of going down. This is a stupid point, but there's a shot going down a hill, and it looks like a shot from Parasite. You know how the when there's all the shots of people walking up the hill to the mansion.
Because Parasite was the original, and a Kurosawa
Kurosawa ripped off. I'm just saying that there's a very similar looking shot with that.
I really wonder if interviews of Bong Joon-ho's like, I was inspired by
that. That's also because like why Moby Dick is Lovecraftian, because he was copying H.P. Lovecraft in the book.
Sounds right.
Yeah. Because
is that serious?
Like people say that.
Oh really?
Oh, they say it's very Lovecraftian.
Oh
yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, it's like no, Melville's Melville.
Yeah,
very Melvillian.
Yeah.
I do think there's like some genuine I always feel like when we look at, because we grew up in a time of like just like blockbuster era. I mean that's just,
and someone hasn't grown out of it.
That was a good one. That was a good one. Yeah. Beep. Thank you. I mean, there is a definite like it's difficult to like adjust to like watching movies in like black and white at times, because like colors are dynamic and purposely dynamic. I mean, you look at like Mark's set behind here, like you said, like you have the contrast of like different colors, and that makes it like your set pop here a little bit. And it is
that's cinematography.
That's cinematography right there, and it is like admittedly for someone who maybe you've gotten this far and you haven't watched this movie, and it admittedly is something that's difficult to get into because the first hour of this movie is just in one room. There are a couple little things that show like the placement of it. There's one very funny moment when the phone rings and he's just like showering profusely.
Yeah.
But like it's hard to kind of like, you have to be invested in the story, the characters. The cinematography is not going to like lure you into this one. It does later on. I think there's some like genuinely excellent shots, and I think that's just with Kurosawa being like an incredible director. But I think that's always like something that people who watch like old cinema, like black and white original foundation building cinema, have to know that like cinematography is there, but it's difficult to like ascertain from like a contemporary lens that we view it from.
Why? Because like our view of cinematography today is like if it's not like a wide shot with pretty colors, it's not cinematography.
I know that's like kind of like, but kind of yeah. Like we have such like a constrained understanding of what cinematography is, where it has to be like these gorgeous shots when actually it's a lot of like how people sit around like a table are framed, or how people react when two people are arguing.
Yeah.
Like there's that excellent shot when Mifune's character what is it?
We keep butchering. Just call
Gondo, thank you. And his wife are arguing, and it cuts to like everyone who's just kind of has like their back turned, but he's framed it so like they're not staggered, but they're like 1, 2, 3, 4, and they're all turned in a different way. And it's like shots like that are like what cinematography is. It's that little minutia, but we look at it like these grand, like beautiful shots, like in Godzilla King of Monsters,
like
when Ghidorah is fighting Godzilla in the air.
One thing that jumps out to me
movies.
is the Valkyries invading Hell in Thor Ragnarok, which is like, they're cool shots. They're all CG, but people look at it and go, oh, cinematography. But like cinematography is like Joaquin Phoenix and Philip Seymour Hoffman and the Master at the table smoking cigarettes.
I was gonna say cinematography is that lady in Cold War at the bar smoking cigarette.
Yeah.
Like that's a black and white movie.
Just the way a face is lit so that you can convey.
I mean both are impressive in their own rights.
Yeah.
But
it doesn't have
not
to say one is worse than the other, but.
Yeah.
So you could be quaint while also being know cinematic as well.
Yeah,
I just think that's something to know, because I mean it's something that like I struggled like a hump to struggle to get into when you start watching older cinema. All of a sudden you're like what, you got to look for more stuff and you got to pay more attention.
Yeah,
which is ironic. I know.
I do say like I prefer black and white movies that come out today, because there's definitely this more crispness.
Because you're pretentious.
Shots.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like I'm just saying, like Roma and Cold War and stuff like that. Like there's definitely like because they have better equipment, obviously, but there is like a nice crispness to the black and white that I think really looks beautiful today.
Yeah.
That's why Bong Joon-ho made a black and white version of Parasite for you.
Yeah. Yes, exactly, and that's why Mad Max wrote as well.
Oh,
that's why
is Ran in color?
It's in color. Oh, Kurosawa manipulates color like perfectly.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
talk about Antonioni too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was saying like with Antonioni and Kurosawa, it's great to watch his movies somewhat in order, because when you see how they implement color in their films.
Don't hit the table. You hit the table right by the mic. It's gonna.
Why?
Play.
I'm just going like that.
It's gonna. You're still
No,
gonna
it's
hear
not
it.
gonna.
You're still gonna hear it.
It's a very sensitive mic.
Do this.
It's very sensitive mic. You have to be nice to it.
Yeah,
We're sorry.
You have to be nice. Sorry.
I don't want to touch ground on where things been. But like it's great to see like that age where color is starting to get popular in films because these great filmmakers like Antonio and Kurosawa manipulate color in a meaningful way. Unlike today,
Tarkovsky and Stalker too.
yes, exactly, like Tarkovsky and Stalker, where especially like I feel like filmmakers today take color for granted.
Yeah.
Where like when you see Ron, you're like, man, Kurosawa just knew how important color was in his films, and it's completely used in such a great way. And same thing with Red Desert, same thing with Stalker, yeah.
Yeah, because you know the second you're in the zone,
Yeah.
with Stalker.
Yeah.
The second you get that, you lose that orange tint and you see the green and you're like, whoa,
Yeah.
okay.
You gotta watch Red Desert, man.
I do gotta watch Red Desert. I haven't watched any Antonioni.
Yeah.
which is a sin.
Maybe I'll recommend
Which is a-
Antonioni for
which is-
this.
You
Yeah,
should.
Yeah,
You
I
should. You
yeah.
absolutely should. Like, this the thing though is like, where do we go from here watching Kurosawa? Because we could tackle like his older.
Well, we are going to Rashomon.
We're going to Rashomon, yeah, but like,
We're doing Rashomon and Persona because we don't
Because-
care about our sanity.
but I also feel like there's a lot of like great areas we could like. He's clearly you watch him and you're like, I get why he's a foundation.
Well, there was a I remember seeing a video maybe a year ago by Every Frame a Painting,
Yep.
and he did one who was like it's like the way Kurosawa composes movement,
Yep.
and Kurosawa definitely has this skill for like for example when the phone rings, everyone like rushes in
Yep.
to get in this film,
Yeah.
and the camera just like follows them with it, and it's like very energetic and.
Nice kinetic movement with the camera.
But like that in the context of that video, they were talking more about like the Seven Samurai and the samurai films. But still, this is after those films. That's when this movie came out, and so that's a thing that I need to look out for the next films I watch because I really wasn't too much paying attention this time around. But Kurosawa is smarter than all of us.
Yeah, watch it
Kurosawa-
without subtitles too.
Yeah. Watch it without subtitles. I need to learn Japanese so I can
Yeah.
fully appreciate it.
So I feel like the half of this review is us screwing around, and we don't want to keep you too long. But I feel like we could sit here and go, you guys are the Kurosawa fans. How does this kind of hold up to his other ones? What do you guys think? In terms of the Kurosawa ones you've seen, where do you guys think this falls? Not even just falls. Like, how does it just compare? Because I'm actually curious in general, just for myself.
I am an absolute simp for Akiru. So
Okay.
that's number one by a long shot.
Yep.
Seven Samurai is just epic. I probably put Hilo at 3 and put Rashomon at 4, not because it's bad, the farthest thing from that. It's because it just confused me and I have not figured it out yet. And I probably won't ever figure it out. But yeah, that's probably where I'd structure it.
So Rashomon is somewhere over there for me in the
Okay.
ranking
Yeah,
system.
throw it over
It is
there.
it is just somewhere in the nebulous gray space. I think Ron is like the perfect movie for me. I don't know. I love Ron. It's just
Did
phenomenal.
you watch it in one sitting?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
That's
great.
impressive for you because you started to get
Yeah.
antsy at the end of this one.
You're antsy through the whole movie.
That wasn't being mean.
You had to say anything.
Alright, that's a good
You
point,
didn't have to
yeah.
say anything. And it's kind of hard to like rank this and Hidden Fortress because I literally saw these movies like in less than 24 hours.
Oh, you watched Hidden Fortress like last night.
Yeah. So I would just say that I like them both, and I like Hidden Fortress a little bit more. I would say because it's like a simpler story, so I was able to grasp it more. Because I'm a simple guy, and I was able to understand it more on a first viewing. And Rashomon is just somewhere out there, and then Throne of Blood, I like a lot. I would say I like High and Low more than Throne of Blood.
I would say I would agree. I think I
Yes.
like High and Low a little more. But yeah, I was just honestly just curious about that. I gotta watch Ikiru, whatever it's called.
What about Ron?
I gotta watch Ron. Is it still on Amazon Prime?
Yeah.
That's the King Lear, right?
Yeah.
I gotta watch a lot of Kurosawa. He's clearly a blind spot director that I have amongst many others.
So you're gonna watch all of his films in 1 week.
100%, yeah. Just go ham.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll keep this one short because we have a big one planned for next week.
Yes.
Franchise.
So wait, real
Franchise
quick.
mutiny.
Real quick.
Lose your standing with us.
Is this movie worth your time? Based on what we just watched.
For the people who are still watching and have seen the movie, we're going to recommend it to you anyway, and I will say that it is worth your time to rewatch it.
Yes,
Yes.
rewatch it.
Yeah, exactly. Rewatch it.
Okay, perfect.
We should put
And
this
then-
at the beginning of the movie.
What?
We should put the recommendation at the beginning.
Yeah,
of the
hey,
movie.
we think this is worth your time now that it comes here. Okay. What are we doing next week? Mark?
Oh.
We're gonna go into the depths of our consciousness and watch Persona by Bergman,
Which is awesome.
and Rashomon.
You haven't seen it.
By
I'm excited like that we're doing it.
yeah, you haven't even seen it.
I said that's awesome.
He's a fraud.
I said that's awesome.
We caught him in the act, guys. He's gonna edit this out.
Quick, bang on the desk so we can't edit it out.
I can't.
So Persona and Rashomon. So
Yes.
we're gonna give ourselves. Well, I think we should give ourselves like 20 minutes for each movie, and we try and nail the plot down in those 20 minutes.
And if
we combine all of our brain power
Yep.
Yeah.
and try and figure it out.
Yeah.
We got this.
And we want you to watch along with us and try to lose and tell us what you think of tell us what you think of the movies in the comments.
Absolutely.
Because interaction.
There's the cover, Persona.
We can do a thumbs up.
I watched Persona and I thought I died.
Yeah, me too.
All right.
I watched the 7th Seal and I was like, oh, this guy's great. Then I watched Persona and I was like, I am an idiot. I am a moron.
I borrowed that for you for like 7 months. I never watched it.
You never watched it?
This is before I got like serious about stuff. I was ready.
Yeah, he just got serious.
I just got serious.
He watched his first movie last week, actually.
I might watch a lot of Bergman this week. I don't know.
Yeah.
You're going. I might.
Maybe.
You might.
I might.
Oh my god. All right. Any final words, or can we end this farce of an episode?
The farce is over.
Okay. Thank God. Thank you guys for watching, and I'm not gonna do the final word thing, but thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next week.